If you've ever wanted to be in a quality relationship or connect deeper to a Black woman, or you just understand the value of having Black women relationships, like this is the episode for you. I am speaking to Portia James, a friend of mine, and we really have a very transparent conversation about what it looks like and why there's so much value in being in a relationship with Black women. So the power is yours. Connect on this episode. Let me know what you think, and I'm excited for you to listen and watch. Welcome back to the Real Connect podcast. I'm your host, Tamika Carlton, and I'm excited to chat with Portia James again.
Hey.
This time it's a little different. I think we may get into somewhat of a serious conversation here. Well,
You think so?
I guess we're always serious. Are
We are both serious and unserious.
at the same damn time?
It works for us.
Yes, it does work. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me ask you. I remember when towards the beginning of us meeting, you must have been on something. You must have been maybe on stage. Maybe it was Strength on Stages.
Okay.
And you said, I am here to support women, Black women, something along these lines, and heavy on the Black.
Oh, I remember. Yes. Operations expert for Black women.
Yes.
Heavy on Black. Yeah.
Come through. Okay, why? Why was that so important for you to say heavy on the Black?
Well, one, because I'm like, shouldn't it be? I think it's important because at that time I was doing a lot of consulting work. Mm-hmm. And it's really interesting because I had a hard time in the beginning, niching down to not just what I wanted to do, but who I wanted to serve. And I had joined this marketing collective.
Oh.
And one of the assignments was really sitting down and figuring out exactly who you want to serve. What do they think about? What keeps them up at night? What are their pain points?
Marketing, good.
What are they watching on TV? Yeah.
Yep.
So we did that. And I pinpointed that I wanted to work with Black women. And specifically, not just because I wanted to just solve the problems of Black women or be in community with Black women, which are also true.
Yes.
But I was really realized how triggered I would be in my work when I tried to go outside of working with Black women. Yeah, I just didn't enjoy it. At times. Yeah. Specifically working with white women, or with white men was difficult for me.
Or was it just
in any capacity.
Yes. Okay.
I want to be careful because I'm multi-generational and multi-dimensional.
And there's a difference. It's not a negative situation.
No.
It's more about what your gift is and honing in on your gift and honing in on your target audience. And that's why the marketing assignment was so important, because it's dig deep into what you want to do and what resonates with you.
Yeah.
And
because I think when they say I'm not for everyone, I think that I could be for everyone, but everyone is not for me. Also, I think that's what it was. Everyone isn't for me. Yes. And so there's a lot that you have to move out of the way.
The board, though, for everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody just ain't for everybody.
Yeah.
And thankfully.
Yeah. And I want to be clear about that. The other reason is because Black women have been historically excluded and ignored.
Yes.
And I just want to make sure that when we're talking about business and business consultation and operations and things like that, that Black women aren't excluded from that conversation, and that I'm a consultant who is highly interested in understanding of the specific needs of Black women. And I think because that's rare, Black women in business or in leadership have a hard time connecting with mentors. And so it's important that I'm shouting this from the top of the mountain, that you are the people that I want to serve, and exclusively that Black women are the people that I want to serve.
Yes, and people can relate to that. Like they'll hear your message and be like, well, I'm a Black woman and I need assistance in this.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that. That is key. I think that you have this way of connecting with Black women, but I also want people to know like what your expertise is and background is, because there's more to the story, right? Like you are.
What am I?
You are a behavior genius.
I am. I am. I'm a board certified behavior analyst.
Yeah.
So not a lot of opportunities in this industry to connect. Only 4.2% of all behavior analysts are Black.
Wow.
And so, not a lot of opportunity to be connecting with diverse people. And so I think that, I started my journey. How far back do we need to go? No, I spent a lot of time being in predominantly white spaces and being brilliant and being in predominantly white spaces has its own issues and its own set of things.
Can we just go back? Rewind
to the brilliant part?
Yes. How did you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, let's run that back. I think that's so key that like we have to be comfortable with our brilliance.
I think so too. I think that people are, because being educated, right? We get these, Black women get this like strong, educated, but there's a part of my talent, like my skill set that did not stem from my education. It's really stemmed from just gifts that I've been able to hone by my experience. Yeah. And so, but I've just, I think that other people in the past historically have noticed, my brilliance. And I think my Blackness has at times covered that up for people because they have a hard time seeing past that or respecting it, or even hearing me have the confidence to say, like, I know that there is something different and special about me. And so, I think a lot of people would think that for me to call myself brilliant, there may be something behind it, but it's not that. It's just that it's important to call a thing a thing.
So
thank you.
Let's roll with it. Keep it up, okay?
I get it from you.
Here we go. Thank you, but no.
Ever since I met you.
No, please. There you go. I can understand it. Have you been able to, because I feel like you're servicing that audience, you've spoken it loudly, which is not very common. Most people are not too sure of speaking their true mission. Yeah. Which is how you really connect with people. How have you found that to be? Like, how have people responded to you saying exactly what it is?
Well, people respond based on their connection to what the mission is. People who can't identify, ask questions like, why only Black women, or, things like that.
And that's why I asked the question.
Black women like it. Okay. They're okay with it.
Well, they get it.
Yeah. Well, I even have Black women who will say like, oh, I don't know how you can just like, I can't work with Black people, or I can't work with Black women, which is very triggering for me. I don't like to hear people say that. I do understand it, but I think that other people of other cultures and backgrounds have found a way to coexist and to partner with each other to have more. And that's something that Black people just struggle with.
The point of this conversation here.
This is when it gets deep?
Yes.
Okay, everybody listen in. This is when it gets deep.
Like, okay. The power of Black women connecting with other Black women.
Yeah.
And what that looks like, what that means for us, and how that can help us evolve. And I think what you said, that a lot of Black people may not want to work with Black people, or what it has become this saddening reality for us to believe that we can't work together, but we have.
I mean, if we can work with everybody else with their flaws, we should be able to work through our own.
Yes. And I think it's also, there's levels to this. Like Logan, my husband, likes to say, there's levels to this shit. Okay.
Right.
There clearly is. But
Hi, Logan.
Right. Hi, Logan. I think that there is this unspoken vibe that we have amongst Black people, Black women. And that is what we need to nourish more of.
Yeah.
Because when we are aligned,
Unstoppable.
I mean, hello.
I'm unstoppable.
Come through. Okay, Portia, sing. Grammy, please. Grammy her, please.
That wasn't what I was brilliant at, just so you guys know. That's just extra.
I could not. But I just did. Have you had a Black woman mentor?
No.
Whatever. Isn't that so sad? Me either, really.
I've never had a Black woman mentor.
And did you want one?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The last Black woman mentor I remember I had was in the 8th grade. I had Mrs. Slaughter. And nobody else cared for Mrs. Slaughter because she was Black mama, so I was used to her.
Like, I was like,
I'm home. Yeah. She was just very no nonsense. She said whatever she wanted to say. But you could feel the love from that woman. Like, she really loved her students. And I really vibed with Mrs. Slaughter. Actually, sometimes I think about her and I wonder how she's doing. Hey, Mrs. Slaughter. Yeah, find me. Yeah, she was amazing. She's the closest I've ever had to a Black female mentor. And I hate to say that because I was in a sorority. So, so there were Black women around me.
Yes.
But these mentors didn't so much pour into me as much as they saw the leadership qualities in me and tried to like push me to the front and challenge me to do more. But in terms of someone that could just kind of guide me or be a listening ear or help me to grow, no, I've never had anything like that. Have you? Have you ever had a Black one?
No, not really. And I feel like I grew up in Seattle and I was the only Black girl in my elementary school or elementary class for a long time. Went to middle school and, it got more diverse. Yeah. There were a couple of Black teachers that I identified with, but I'm with you in the sense that like, I haven't really felt seen.
Yeah.
Honestly, I felt more like expectation from them.
Yeah.
But like no real nurturing.
That's about right.
Yeah, which is sad. But I think that like, and I think that that's more common now too.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? I mean, I feel like there's not, and the point of this conversation for me is that I know as a Black woman and knowing you and so many of my Black friends, we and Black woman friends, we have the capacity to do and be so deeply connected and so nurturing and loving and all of that. But I feel like we kind of hold it in and harness it for select people. And we need to kind of release it to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're like, absolutely, actually.
It's what we should all be doing, releasing it to us.
Well,
yeah.
And I think that, I know you. What does the movie Wicked? I'm like, all I can think about, I can see the flashing of like the Wicked movie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like that was a deep rooted situation too in that film. There were so many messages. And I don't like musicals, by the way, but I stayed awake.
I'm glad you went to see. Thank you for your willingness.
I stayed awake and I listened to everything and I was very much invested.
Yeah.
I feel like you have something to say about the of Wicked. I do.
I do. I have so many feelings about Wicked. I've seen it 3 times in theater.
3 times already?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean in theater. Oh. Like I saw it on Broadway. So I'd seen the play and then I saw the movie. And
you go see the movie twice, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Just saying.
I'm scheduled to go back next week. Yeah. The first time I was speechless. Like I went with my kids and my husband and I just walked out the theater because I had to go gather myself. I got to the parking lot and was just like falling apart. I felt so seen.
Why?
I think that I already really connect with a good villain origin story.
Yes, me too.
Because I feel like I myself have a good villain origin story. And I don't think I've stepped fully over into my Wicked Witch of the West. But
it's coming.
But I could. Had it not been for the Lord.
There's a lot of us on the brink.
Yeah. Yeah, I do be on the brink. No, I just felt like, I think I already really connect with any villain origin story, but this time, Elphaba being played by a Black woman.
Right. And it wasn't even going to be her initially, which is even more.
Yeah, it changed everything for me because I saw the entire thing through this lens of race, and everything made me really, like RJ was with me and he was like texting me his little thoughts because the kids were between us. So instead of talking to me in the theater, he was texting me his thoughts. He liked to talk in the theater, which I don't really vibe with anyway, so I'm good with the text.
Wait, I love talking in the theater.
I hate it.
Oh,
you and him should be together.
Yes.
At the movies, of course.
Yes. Well, hello. Let's clarify. Okay.
Don't skip past that. I just want to make sure we're clear. But no, there was a really serious message. So he texted me and was like, she better than me because I wouldn't have been tolerating how Glenda was talking to her.
I mean.
And I was like, she's just so kind.
You are so kind too. You
Thank
are
you.
this. Yeah.
She's so kind. It's really what I strive to be, is kind. When there's all these other things going around and the assumptions and the judgment and the expectations and stuff like that, I really do that's my highest value, is kindness, and learning how to be kind in different situations, especially harmful situations. It just takes so much courage and so much humility, and she had so much of that. And to watch her be in her integrity the entire movie, no matter what anyone thought.
Not compromise.
Yeah. And at the end, just the way that she stood up for herself and stood up for what she believed in. And it wasn't even about her, right? It was about the professor. But she stood up for what she believed in, regardless of what the consequences would be, because she knew this is the only way that she would sleep at night, is to be in integrity with who she was. And what it takes to do that, and we know the story, is that, of course, no one mourns the wicked, right? The wicked. It's a musical. It's a musical on here today.
I'm not ready.
Yeah, but now she's, now there are these assumptions, right? They were othering her anyway. Mm-hmm. And now it's almost like she has proven them all right as far as they're concerned. But just the courage that it takes to stand up for who you are.
Yep.
And be in that.
Just be it and not wait for anyone to come help you along.
Right.
She thought that Glenda would help her along. But it always takes the confidence of you to carry the weight first before someone else is like, okay, let me come help you.
First and alone.
Yes.
And she's alone.
Yes. And I was like, where is Portia and Tamika? Like, come on. We always say that when we watch reality shows. Like, do we not? Like, we're always
all the
like,
time.
I don't like her friends on this show. Like, they need us.
They need us badly.
I'm like
100%.
And it speaks once again to the reality that it is so needed that Black women connect and unite, and just women overall, to be completely honest, because once Glenda came to the other side, for the most part, or tried to.
I was gonna say she didn't make it all the way.
Sticky, like, well, what am I gonna lose? That's really what it was behind the scenes. Like, well, what am I gonna lose if I go with you?
I still have to exist in this way.
Yes.
It was hard to watch, but it was very validating, just in terms of how people will treat you when you decide to own who you are.
And you can,
including your friends.
Yes.
Including your parents.
Yes. Including everyone. And I also think that there was the movie, for me, because everyone perceives it differently, I felt like there was this ongoing, or this pressing silencing of her.
Yeah.
All of her life, because people knew she had a gift. And the gift wasn't just
it was her
the
power.
outer.
Yeah.
People tried to negate all of who she was based off of what she looked like.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter was everyone could see the light and the gift and the power of who she was, and they wanted that to be stifled. But it was also,
I'm getting triggered.
You know what? The parts that pissed me off the most was when, I don't know what she was called, the wizard, the woman, the leader of the school. And Elphaba came in, and she was like, why are we really analyzing this whole movie? But
Miss Marble.
Okay. Miss Marvel?
Marble.
Marble. Okay, whatever. I don't be me. The titles and the names. I just know the lady. When Elphaba had the power, when she walked into that area and she initiated her power.
Yep.
And she took the credit. That shit pissed me off.
Really?
Oh.
I thought she was defending her.
Oh, no.
I didn't think she took the credit.
She said, she was like, oh, that was me.
Yeah, I remember her saying that was me. But I thought it was so that they would take their eyes off of her.
No, it was so that they could take their eyes off of her so that she could be the one to carry her and take her to the wizard. She wanted to be the one to have the connection and camaraderie to say, look what I brought you.
The plot thickens.
That pissed me off. Because I feel triggered with that.
When was the last time now let's turn the mic on you. Please, no. When was the last time you were in a situation? When was the last time you were in a situation where you felt, have you ever been in a situation where you felt someone taking the credit for your power?
Yes.
When was you act like this happened yesterday. It couldn't have because you were with me.
You took the credit. No, I'm kidding. Yes. I mean, I was in a partnership in a business with a guy and he took the credit for, there were so many things that I would say to him and give ideas and stuff. And then like, I would be all very deep in my creativity and tell him my ideas. And he would be like, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then like 2 weeks later, 3 months later, he would be like, you know what we should do? And he literally would think that he came up with the idea. Like it just came out of his brain like, oh, I'm so smart. Look what I came up with. And I would have to call him out on it. Like I literally told you that 3 months ago. That bothered me. So you see how movies and everything.
Yeah, I see why you were triggered by that. I mean, that's hard. Yeah.
Okay.
I get that.
Triggered. But I think that for me, lately I've had more people that are in my corner.
Yeah.
That see the true T.
Yeah.
Big T to be exact.
Of course.
The true T. And they're like, we see, we love, we appreciate, and it's women. And some of them are not all Black, but.
Yeah. Which is huge because I think that also contributes is that, you know, we've been in situations so much where we maybe were the only Black woman, like in our place of business. And we had these white male managers, bosses, who would take our ideas as credit, you know, to credit themselves. And then when we get into a relationship with Black women, then I find that women are afraid to share their idea.
So true.
Because it's like hoarding our brilliance to only ourselves so nobody else can take it, right? It's like this fear that someone is going to take from us because I think we're so used to being in a corporate setting and people taking from us. And so I think a lot of times Black women have a hard time working together and being completely transparent and really bringing everything to the table because they're afraid that something's going to be stripped from them. And because we've had to work for every little piece of credit that we can, every crumb of credit.
At the end of the day, we're like, this is what we
This is mine.
This is, I have to hold on to this.
Yeah.
I agree 1,000%. I would really challenge everyone, like everyone watching and listening, to change your mindset a bit because everyone isn't after, like, out to get you.
Well, not only is everybody not, if they're all out to get you, truly, right? I mean, speaking of Elphaba, if they were all out to get us, I firmly believe that what is for you, somebody else isn't going to be able to do it.
I was just going to say.
Or they're not going to be able to do it at your level.
Yes.
You know, I believe that we're gifted.
Anything. No one can take anything away from you.
Yeah. If Jeff Bezos gave Amazon the idea for Amazon to somebody else, I don't think anybody would have been able to do what he did. That was his calling. Yes. And can't nobody really steal your calling.
Well, and I think from the opposite end of the spectrum, it's like, okay, if we are walking around here like I'm going to hold hostage all of my ideas, all of my connections, my potential bond with a Black woman or other people in general, what are you losing out on from just not wanting to be vulnerable and release all of your gifts to whomever? Like there's more to be lost in that sense than there is because the minute quote unquote tangible things that could be taken from you is like, I mean, it can be taken anyways. Like IP. It's like IP is
it's so easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like I would prefer to have the spiritual enhancements of a relationship
Preach.
Okay.
You know, because sometimes God is going to give you a word for you, but sometimes he's going to give you a word for somebody else. And you need to share that idea for somebody else who can execute it better than you can or quicker than you can or, you know, and I think that unless you're in community with people, you don't know where you're like, this is a dope idea. I'm not doing it, but it would be good for Tamika.
That, and it's like our gifts are so, like they're so in alignment with so many things that we can't see.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we're holding it all in, the world is not transmitting the correct energy because we're withholding.
Yeah, it's true. It's hard, you know, it's vulnerable being in relationships, especially when it does.
I mean,
relationships are fine. They don't all suck.
No, I'm just saying it sucks to be vulnerable sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to be vulnerable and realize that, you know, we all come into situations feeling like we have something to lose. And I think if that is the type of relationship that you're in where you feel like you cannot grow and help that person grow, you can't even share your ideas and be like, is it a good idea or is this weird or what are your thoughts? And that person can't take that and make it better with you, then you shouldn't be in that relationship.
I also think I'm thinking about some of my connections because I think we've had a conversation before with like, I've had like these weird gifts all of my life where like I have these strong threads and ties with people. By the way, I have not shared this publicly. Seriously.
You're going to extract that from the record?
Right.
You're sharing it now.
Okay. But I have these strong ties that are inexplainable or unexplainable. Mm-hmm. And I see things and feel things from them. And I know that they're not letting their guard down. And typically it's Black women that I have these ties with.
Of course.
They're not letting their guard down. They don't want to. They're not really showing up truly who they are across the board. And typically it's like powerful business women, which is even more ironic. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that fits the description.
Right. But the thing that I've found with these people is it's hard to break through to tell them the truth because they think that there's something, they're more accustomed to people wanting something from them.
Right.
Versus me just wanting to show up and be present and be seen for them to.
Some people don't know how to be in those relationships because they don't want to be seen. They're so used to being masked all the time that they don't want to be seen. People don't want to be in relationships with people who can truly see them and hear the unspoken, you know, because they're not ready to be naked in a relationship.
Well, take my take my clothes off, okay? Because it's like, why not? In this day and age, in this era, like I'm just so more inclined to. Like, I'm not going to give all of my goods to everybody. No.
Yeah.
You hold
not my goodies.
Okay, old school Sierra. Speaking your age. But like, it's more, there's more positive that comes with just releasing it. Yeah. And I think this is the point of this podcast.
Yeah. It requires trust, you know, because, and it also requires willingness to have maybe a relationship that's failed. It's willingness to endure the pain, right? So when you open up to someone or when you help someone, like for example, I had a client that I overextended myself to help her get her business off the ground. And as soon as her business was off the ground, like, I mean, when I say overextended, like gave her work in the interim and stuff like that, made sure that she was, you know, that she could move forward. And I really believed in her. Like, and when soon as her business was off the ground, she came and poached multiple of my employees to go and work for her business. Yes, it's wild. And what I thought was, that is not how you honor a person, but especially a Black woman in a mentorship, you know, relationship who really only wanted to see the best for you. And I think that I was willing to acknowledge that, you know, that happened. But I think that it's important for us to be willing to say that was a bad one.
That was just that tarnish.
That's a non-example.
Right. Did that tarnish?
No, absolutely not. Nothing will tarnish my desire. Nothing will ever tarnish my desire to work with Black women or to be in a relationship with Black women. Just like nothing has ever changed my desire to marry a Black man, like unconditionally. I didn't care if the pickings were slim. I was gonna keep looking through the racks until I found what I was looking for. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because there's just, for me, I just feel like it's so easy to give up on each other.
Facts.
it's hard. It takes work. It takes effort. It takes
goodness.
courage to be
board.
in community with people who could hurt you, who could hurt us the most. And I think a lot of Black women have poor histories with their mothers, their grandmothers, their aunties, their sisters. And because we come from a traumatic background that is not of our fault, but as a result of what we've experienced socially, because we come from that, there's a lot of Black women who find comfort in people who are just not of that culture or of that background, because hurt people, and they're expecting that most Black women are coming to the table wounded, and they don't want to unpack the bags with the, you know what I'm saying? They don't want to be victimized by their wounds, you know? And I understand that, but the healing to that really comes in being in relationship. Yeah.
And being in community with folks that get it.
Yeah.
And that can help you break down the barriers of all of the things that we are traumatically experiencing behind closed doors.
Yeah. Like, you don't just cut off. The way that I've seen, even recently in my industry, there's this drama going on right now, but it's Black on Black internet crime right now. And yeah. And I've never seen the way that these Black women are dragging each other right now publicly and each other's businesses and each other's character. I've never seen these same people do this in relation to others. So it's like, why do you feel like we need to air out this family meeting and have this public declaration of somebody, you know, failing or missing the mark with you or whatever? But this isn't something that I really see happen to
it's also
cross.
What is the point?
Culturally.
Are we trying to solve a problem? Or are we trying to get attention?
Right.
Are we just trying to be negative? Like,
it's just old school bullying.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the issue. Like, I'm okay with airing out dirty laundry to create a solution. Sure. But if we're just out here being reckless for no reason,
right,
that's unacceptable.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. And it's also, it's hard to hear, you know?
It's hard to watch. It's hard to see. And I think, I think we have to be the change and showcase that, like, you can be in relationship with your people, your, you know, Black women in general, and be okay and thrive, actually.
Yeah. And that it does take work sometimes to befriend a Black woman because of all that we carry.
Yes. I feel like it takes way more effort. Like, you talking about, I don't even remember you in the last one.
Listen, I just, not in that way. I know, but I guess I'll be in my own world, like you said.
Everybody just be kind of moving according to where they're trying to go versus moving in accordance with others.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But now we're in a place where let's value one another's everything that we can provide to one another versus be out here alone.
Yeah. I think the stories of Black women, the journeys of Black women, can be triggering for other Black women, you know, not maybe who don't want to stay in that space, or who have felt like they've moved on, or who are masking enough to be like, oh, I'm not there. I'm not in that space. So it's like, it's just you're in a room with a bunch of people. It's like a masquerade ball.
It is.
It really is.
I feel like
you're in a room with a bunch of people who are just, you know, and it takes really courage to take the mask off and be willing to be vulnerable with someone who sees you.
That, and it's like, what do you expect you're going to gain from having a mask on? As I have the rolling emoji face, like,
right. I'm trying to think of an answer because
what are we gaining? Protection of what? You're not protecting yourself. It's fraudulent.
Yeah,
the protection is fraudulent.
It is fraudulent.
You're hindering.
Yeah,
self and everyone else.
Yeah.
So get your mask.
Get your mind right.
Pull it off.
Does it come off this way?
It's like shades.
What is it?
It's curtains and a mask.
Okay, it's both.
It's both. I mean,
wow.
Either way, some people are
it's like, double tap.
Sometimes you're like,
You open their mask and they have another one under.
I'm like, oh, girl, like, I see you. Just lift it. Lift the veil, okay? All right, well, I
want to say another thing about Black women is a Black woman is going to have the audacity to tell you the truth about yourself. And some people don't want to hear that.
I mean,
Let's just
okay
be
with
honest.
that.
I'm okay with it. But I think that's a thing too, is that some people just don't want to hear that. They'll rather be judged silently.
I get it.
And,
But
that's not my vibe.
That is what real relationships are.
Oh, we got a jingle?
I'm saying that's what quality relationships do. They tell the truth. They mirror all of the things that you need to heal.
Yeah.
They break you down to open you up to help you thrive.
Yeah.
Which is irreplaceable to me.
Yeah, there's really nothing like it.
Don't shut yourself down. And I think that, like, in the sense with, like, you, for example, I went through a really tumultuous time, 2023, and didn't really know you like that.
Yeah.
Something was just like, I can talk to her. I spoke to you. You helped me. And first of all, I don't talk to people. Okay. So
thank you.
Me talking, it was like, yo, who are you?
I'm honored.
Right. But whatever. But the point is that, like, there is healing and releasing and being able to connect and for people to see you.
Yeah.
And, like, so much more has opened since that time. So I just think that I just really promote everyone to just pull up.
Off.
If you're not watching, I'm pulling the mask up and opening.
Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Well, if you don't have any closing words, I think that we just drop the mic.
Yeah, I think that was beautiful. You summed it up.
I think that was beautiful. Well, thank you, Portia, for the serious conversation.
Thank you for having me.
All right, girl.
Bye.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for watching or listening in. Make sure to share and comment. And I can't wait for you to hear or watch the next episode.